There is a connection going on right now in Waco, Texas, that has the rest of the Big 12 shaking in their boots.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, Cam Stewart of 365 Sports, and this is Locked On Baylor, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the world. And it's brought to you by FanDuel. Today, we're talking about the men's basketball team getting the first win in the crown, and your reward is you get to face one of the hottest teams in college basketball to close out the regular season. Plus, we take you to the heavyweight matchup, Brett Yormark versus Cody Campbell. They just dunk on Tech. But what does that mean for the rest of us here in the Big 12? But we start with the connection that could save Baylor football. The electrifying connection that could have people in the stands feeling like, ooh, this looks like Baylor football again. Of course, we're excited about DJ Lagway. Well, most of us are. There are some people that haven't been excited about anything, but I'm typically a cynical person. I'm very excited about DJ Lagway and Jake Spavital, which is not technically the connection that I'm going for here, because one of the real concerns around this team was, who's he going to throw to? I mean, first and foremost is who's going to protect them, but second, who's he going to throw to? Last year you had this just embarrassment of riches at the receiver position and pass catchers, I guess I should say, because Michael Trigg was a beast. Josh Cameron is a beast. He's going to be playing on Sundays next year. Ashton Hawkins, Cole Wilson, that guy from Alabama who only caught touchdowns, Kobe Prentice. You just had one after the other. And yes, Sawyer Robertson definitely elevated a lot of those guys, but part of it is Sawyer Robertson got to throw to those guys. DJ Lagway, not going to get that same kind of treatment, is he? There is one name that we heard about last year from Dave Aranda, from Jake Spavital, from Sawyer Robertson. We heard them rave about this guy. Didn't really play. Had a bit of an injury, went with the red shirt, and now he's back. And from the first time that Jake Spavital talks to the media, basically his first name that he drops is this name once again. Let's take you to Jake Spavital and hear who that is.
Yeah, Lewis Brown looked phenomenal today, and I got to keep on him because he's got potential to be a really special player. And, I think when DJ kind of takes the field and the experience the experience that he's had and who he is as a person, and the hype, I think he brings some excitement in that receiver room as well. And, you have like Dre'lon Miller and Gavin Freeman out there as well, and Jaden Porter and Taz Williams, and you got some guys that are moving around in a lot of different positions. But, I think DJ takes a lot of quality time in trying to build that relationship. They all vacationed together on spring break. They're all going to dinner. They're all hanging out because DJ understands the importance of the locker room and how everybody needs to be on the same page and playing for each other. So that's going to be a fun kind of little test to see of just how these receivers develop. I'm putting them in some tough spots because I got to see what they're capable of doing, but just going back to Lewis Brown, I think that could be a pretty good connection that you can see in the future.
This was a guy that Dave Aranda raved about last year, Lewis Brown, coming in via San Diego State and Colorado State as well, which is where he did some big damage. And before I get into his numbers, let's do a little fun game here. Me, the host of Locked On Baylor, and you, the awesome listeners that come back to this show every day. There are some doubts around DJ Lagway, not just the cynical people, right? He had some problems with injuries. He had some problems with interceptions, had some problems with his coach basically being canned and staking his whole claim to him. But the one thing that we know DJ Lagway can do, even when things weren't going well for Florida last year, was the deep ball. The kid can chuck it, man. And that's one of the first things Spav talked about when DJ committed and signed, was he can still chuck it. Those throws of over 20 yards are still elite for DJ Lagway. Lewis Brown, the fourth, in his best season at Colorado State, Was over 600 yards, sure, but was over 16 yards a reception. Actually, sorry, that was at San Diego State, 2024. 16 yards a reception. And even averaged 13 for his 6 catches and 1 touchdown last year for Baylor. Like, this kid's a deep ball threat at 6'2" and getting 16 yards a catch at San Diego State. And I'm just going to go out on a limb here. No shade against the Aztecs. But I think DJ Lagway is probably a better deep ball thrower than whoever was throwing to him at San Diego State. Although if you guys watched and listened to that Minnesota episode the other day where I did the big 3, the best pro player in each of the 3 kind of major sports, San Diego State, sneaky, might have the best one, especially for a school that doesn't really win a lot. Check that out. Leave me your big 3 for San Diego State in the comment section below. But back to Lewis Brown IV. This is a kid that could unleash the very best of DJ Lagway. And I am not just saying that to blow smoke. I truly, truly believe that. I'm not saying they're going to put up 60 a game, but this offense can resemble what we were seeing at times with Sawyer Robertson and Josh Cameron and Michael Trigg, with some names that we just don't really know yet. And one of those is Lewis Brown IV. Another's Dre'lon Miller. Guys who go on spring break with DJ Lagway, apparently. I'm glad it didn't end up like Dak Prescott's spring break. Glad that didn't happen, at least that we know of. But, I mean, right away, that is probably the player that Dave Aranda and Jake Spavital were telling DJ Lagway about. Like, this kid's legit. And I would be hypocritical if I told you that I wasn't excited about Lewis Brown. Because last year the coaches are raving about him. And I'm here on the show saying, yeah, this guy's a really good fit. And he looks like one of those guys that's ready to take the next step. And it sounded like he had a bit of a nagging injury kind of at the beginning of the season. Wanted to gain that extra or keep that year of eligibility without being hurt and being, the 5th or 6th receiver in a loaded receiver room last year. A receiver room that was probably the best in the Big 12, even though the team was 5-7. Now he has that shot to come out here, play for a running gun offense with a quarterback who can get him the ball. And maybe he's next in that line, of, post Art Briles teams, right? Those are different kind of cats, but I'm talking the line of like Denzel Mims, Tyquan Thornton, Josh Cameron. This could be the next in that line of receivers. Those, tall receivers. Cameron was big, but these tall guys who can high point a ball, be a red zone threat, be a deep ball threat. Lewis Brown IV could be that, and his coaches bring it up a lot. Chance to be a special player. But who do you think is going to have the best connection with DJ Lagway? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening to us wherever you listen to your podcast, you can just go to YouTube and leave a comment, or you can tweet at us at Locked On Baylor and let me know what you think today and every day. When we come back, let's talk about the heavyweight fight in the Truck Stop Conference, baby. Brett Yormark against Cody Campbell, and the flagrant words that the commissioner had to say about Tech's big booster. That is coming up next on Locked On Baylor.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament Elite 8 wrapped up with the UConn Huskies staying undefeated at 38-0 after a decisive win over Notre Dame, while the UCLA Bruins rallied past Duke behind a dominant second half performance. On the other side, the remaining 1 seeds in South Carolina and Texas will be determined after their matchups against TCU and Michigan, respectively. Next up, the Final Four is set for Friday in Phoenix, with the winners advancing to the national championship on Sunday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Thanks, Kalia. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Once again, that's turbotax.com/local. And those of you who are following our show every day, how about you make it official with something I like to call the Everydayer Club? Okay, it's a great community that you can join at lockedonbaylor.supercast.com, and you are going to get perks like a members-only Discord and ad-free, yes, ad-free audio versions of this show 5 days a week wherever you listen to your podcast. That is lockedonbaylor.supercast.com to get to our specific link for the Everydayer Club. Join, find it, find your community, do it today. Now back to regularly scheduled programming. And we got to talk about this heavyweight battle. Ding, ding, ding. Ring the bell. We have got a heavyweight battle in the Truck Stop Conference, America's conference. In one corner, the commissioner of the Big 12, the guy who has taken the Big 12 from 10 teams to 16 and has made this a true force to be reckoned with once again and sustainable in today's era of college football. He is Brett Yormark. And in the other corner, a true blue Texan who might just have more power in this conference than the commissioner does. From Lubbock, Texas, or at least fighting out of Lubbock, Texas, we have got Cody Campbell, one of the biggest names in college football these days. And Cody thinks he's got the Big 12 on puppet strings. Brett Yormark said, "Nuh-uh, partner. Moving on back." He's like the Ranger in Big Iron. He had an inflammatory statement. This is coming from the Lubbock Avalanche Journal, okay, which has been like the premier outlet on this story. Brett Yormark, and they say snapped back at Cody Campbell, saying that Campbell, quote, does not run the Big 12, end quote, after Campbell complained publicly about the conference and its TV partners possibly moving this year's Tech game against Houston to a Friday night. Man, this really got Brett Yormark hot under the collar. Here's what Cody Campbell told the Avalanche Journal. He said, quote, "I just heard it through the Tech football staff up here in our administration that it was being discussed, moving the game to a Friday. They, the TV partners, have the draft or whatever, and the conference doesn't really want to acknowledge it, but they do have an ability to influence those decisions. They just chose not to because they were chasing ratings, which I do understand on one hand, but on the other hand, high school football is important in the state of Texas," end quote. And he actually went on to say, I want to include this quote as well, quote, "We've got a road game the week before. It's not an ideal situation for us, and I think our conference should protect us more than they did," end quote. This isn't so much a message versus messenger situation with Cody Campbell, because personally, I don't really have any problem with Cody Campbell. I don't have any problem with what's going on at Tech. I don't think there's anything really slimy yet. This is kind of just the way the college football is being played. Texas Tech has this kind of money through people like Cody Campbell. They're just playing the game here. What I do have the problem with is half the message, not the other half. But I think this is just pent up anger in Brett Yormark of like, I'm sick of hearing about Cody Campbell kind of holding the State of the Union for the Big 12. And when you're the commissioner, you probably do get PO'd about that. Because here's the thing, man. I don't like having college football games on Fridays. Like, I don't like my team playing on a Friday. And part of that is because high school football is king on Fridays. And we talked about it on the Big 12 Squad show, which came out on Thursday. Like, there's a legitimate gripe with that from teams who are trying to sell out their stadiums, but they don't have a core of their fan base because, in West Texas, they're going to watch Permian and Midland Lee and Estacado and Monterey. They're not coming to watch Tech on a Friday night. There is a good balance in the great state of Texas, man. Fridays are for high school, Saturdays are for college, and Sundays are for the Cowboys. Okay? That we have struck a nice balance in the great state of Texas in order for you to fully enjoy your football weekend without anything overlapping there. But here's the other thing to Cody Campbell and Texas Tech. You are not God in this conference. You don't get to pick and choose what days that you play in. You don't. Like, none of us like the Friday nights. But yet again, as I think Chris Level put it on the Squad show, teams that get this opportunity, they are running to it. They are not running away from the advertising dollars and the TV dollars that they get by being one of 4 games on a Friday night versus one of 50, 60 games on a Saturday. They're not running from that. And here's the other thing. Texas Tech, man, you're having a moment. And I don't hate Tech. I don't. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and we have several common enemies. Okay? But what are you going to do? If they put your game against Houston on a Friday night, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Leave? Where are you going to go? You have a good future, Tech. Make no mistake. But who are you to hold the cards against the Big 12? You don't have that clout. In fact, really no one in this conference has that clout. Baylor doesn't have it. TCU doesn't have it. UH doesn't have it. You've won a conference championship. You made a college football playoff. You almost scored a point in the college football playoff. Almost. But you don't have that kind of clout to be going back at the commissioner like that. Sorry. And the commissioner's probably thinking the same thing and thinking, I've had enough of this. You were not the University of Texas, man. You're not Ohio State. You're not Michigan. You don't hold the cards here. You're not getting that SEC invite. You're not getting that Big Ten invite. Even though you went to the CFP and you've got a lot of money, sustainable money. So I'd probably use the old LeVar Ball line here. Stay in your lane. Keep helping Tech put a winning football team on the field. And the commissioner and the TV networks will tell you what night you're playing. How about that? And I've had problems with Brett Yormark in the past. I've had problems of him not sticking up for the Big 12 enough, which I'm sure Cody Campbell has those same issues. I think that's kind of what this is born out of. But Brett will run the conference here. He's kept us sustainable. He will for years to come. You keep funneling your money into Texas Tech, Cody Campbell, and we'll leave it at that. But honestly, kind of good on Brett Yormark for doing that. Being like, man, this is my job. It's not his. But man, it's going to make for great theater here because I have a feeling these two guys truly do not like each other. They don't. They are beneficial for each other, right? Because Tech doesn't have anywhere else to go. Okay? Tech's best model of attack here is to dominate the Big 12, not have a couple good years in the Big 12 and then go on to the Big 10 or the SEC. That's not a path. Their best path to being as relevant as possible is to dominate the Big 12. Conversely, a great path for Brett Yormark is to have Texas Tech continue to be good and continue to be relevant, continue to be in the picture, be a college football playoff contender. Because as we've said so many times, the CFP, man, they don't care if your conference is good top to bottom. They don't. They show you that all the time with Clemson and Miami. They just care that you have good teams in the conference, like good brands actually in the conference, because we saw it in the last couple of years of Texas and OU being here. Just having those teams in the conference helped TCU in 2022. Even though OU was 6-6 in the regular season, that helped TCU. Even though UT was whatever they were, 8-4, they had a decent year that year, right? That helped TCU. So these guys can help each other out, but I think they hate each other. And is it time for Texas Tech to slow their roll on thinking about how much clout they have in this conference? Let me know in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you every weekday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. We're not done yet. When we come back, the Bears got a huge win. Scott Drew undefeated in April. Now they've got to go face what was probably the hottest Power 5 team in the country going into the conference tournaments. That's coming up next on Locked On Baylor. Locked On Baylor is brought to you by FanDuel. We are winding it down. Final four in the NCAA tournament, but there's still so many chances to win. The best part about FanDuel's deal for March Madness, you get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 extra chances to stay involved throughout the entire tournament. And look, you can mix it up however you want, man. It's your job. Game picks, futures, same game parlays, all for a bigger potential payout. It is perfect for the tournament because, as we know, there's something new every day, man. The matchups, the storylines, a coach having a meltdown. There's so many ways to get involved as that bracket unfolds or goes up in flames. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action. Today's episode is also brought to you by our partners at Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Well, now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. Look, I always knew the game, but I never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Robinhood. Yes, Scott Drew, now 3-0 in his career in April. It rolls on. Baylor wins in the first round of the Crown Tournament. They take out Minnesota by 19 to move on to the semifinals, which will be Saturday afternoon. Man, what a break, by the way. Wednesday to Saturday? It's kind of wild. But anyway, Baylor takes out Minnesota. They do it really in the early part of the second half. They go on it was 19-6 run, I want to say, because it went from 31-26 to 50-32. So yeah, 19-6 run. And that basically put Minnesota away. And what we kind of knew is going to be a slog in the first half. We knew that was going to be after a couple of weeks off, two teams that turn the ball over a lot. And that's, excuse me, exactly what happened. Minnesota's terrible shooting the three, and Obi Agbim hit more threes than the entire Gopher team did. So that kind of played out. If you're Baylor, it couldn't have gone any better in terms of this year's team. Three guys being over 15 plus on the night. It was Cam Carr, it was Tunde Yesufu, it was Obi Agbim. And Obi, I want to say, was 5 of 8 from 3, man. Like that was a big time Obi Agbim game in what is one of the final ones he'll play in a Baylor uniform, but not the final one. Because now on Saturday, Baylor will face one of the hottest teams in college basketball, the Oklahoma Sooners. And I know what you're thinking. Some of you were saying, Cam, how is any one of the teams that you would classify as one of the hottest teams in college basketball playing in the Crown Tournament and not in the Final Four this weekend? Well, that's because Oklahoma nearly backdoored their way into the NCAA tournament because of how they played throughout February and early March. Going into the SEC conference tournament, where they did win 2 more games, they won 6 of their last 8. Okay. And in that span, they took down 5 NCAA tournament teams on that run. I'm talking Tennessee. I'm talking A&M. I'm talking UT. I'm talking Vandy. Took them all out. That's 5 times as many tournament teams as Baylor beat in the regular season, and they did it in an 8-game stretch. Oklahoma did. So this is not a team to be trifled with, these Sooners. Now, I will give you a stat for you Baylor fans that's going to make you feel good. Not only is Scott Drew undefeated in basketball games in April, but Scott Drew is also 5-1 against the great Porter Moser, who is still the head coach for the Sooners. And to be quite honest with you guys, the only thing more surprising than Scott Drew winning 5 of the 6 games he's coached against Porter Moser was I didn't think he lost any. But yeah, in 2022, after Baylor won the share of the regular season title, they had all those guys hurt, and OU, I think, did backdoor their way in. They needed wins in the Big 12 tournament. They took out Baylor. 4 years later, like not one that Baylor cared about all that much. But I just remember every time they made mincemeat of Oklahoma, OU's last few years in the conference. Of course, that was Baylor at its peak. They're not there right now. This is an OU team that, again, is really hot. They're not afraid of playing anybody at this point in the season. And Baylor, this is not Minnesota. I'll put it that way. This is not Minnesota. But then again, this is an OU team that needed overtime, which was completely jinxed on this show by me. And Sydney correctly said we don't even say overtime out loud for a game that's before ours. And it happened. I jinxed it. But OU needed overtime to beat Colorado, a team that Baylor beat quite comfortably back in February. What was that, 30 points? They crushed the Buffs after losing to them in Boulder last year, which was pretty bad. But anyway, I'm excited for this one. This is what I mean. Like, this is a good matchup. If you played in the NIT, you might be getting Loyola Chicago or Tulsa. Tulsa's a good team, but like that's not really getting your attention when you're seeing it on your, whatever your sports news app is or on Sports Center or whatever. You see Oklahoma versus Baylor, and that looks pretty good. And we're hoping for a good game. Saturday afternoon, barely afternoon, right? 12:30 Central Time. Am I getting that right? Let me know what you guys think. Score predictions, keys to the game in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you every weekday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. Happy Good Friday to you, and have a great Easter weekend. He is risen, my brothers and sisters. Okay. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Of course, hopefully some more basketball to watch both days this weekend. Thank you so much for making it your first listen today and every day. We will see you on Monday on the next edition of your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.